People of the internet, welcome back to your least favorite F1 podcast. So we're going to do a reaction to 2025 lineups, but in kind of a weird way because we did a pod about this last year, very early in the season. So I'm going to go back through and show these guys what we talked about, and then we'll kind of flip it on its head and see how much we got wrong.
Oh, God.
What do we think?
It's going to be a lot.
It's going to be a lot wrong.
It's going to be a lot.
It's going to be a lot wrong.
Okay, so starting off, I want to go over the very first question that I went over, which was Lewis versus Charles, who has a better year in 2025. Isaac and myself both said Charles, and Sam and you, Jackson, both said Lewis. How do we still feel on that?
I'm sticking with my decision.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just going to stay on this block because I'm still going
I'm
Charles.
sticking with the decision.
All right, I think that's going to be the biggest storyline of 2025 by far. And I just don't really see how anyone else has as much of an issue with their driver lineup than Ferrari, actually. Kind of a hot take, but that's just me.
No, they're the only ones that are going to have that issue. Everyone else just didn't really change over.
Yeah,
Nothing
you have
really
two
changed.
2-1 drivers fighting for a one spot.
All I know,
and it's going to be going all year long.
Yep.
all I know is Lewis Hamilton is moving into Ferrari's house, so
That is true.
that just says
That is true.
priorities.
But he wears red a lot, bro.
That is true. That is true.
All right, so then a couple other notes from the pod.
Red is the new black. I might have to cut.
Coming from Sam, who always wears black, he's got red on now.
Yeah, now he's wearing red.
I thought people might take it that I'm making fun of Lewis Hamilton for being black. All right, that's getting it. All right, let's just keep going.
You just made it worse.
All right.
All right, a couple other sound bites. Jackson said Lewis needed a good car. Quote, Mercedes has been slacking. This was, again, very early on. Sam also said that McLaren was the best lineup on the grid for 2024, which I think was very true.
Yeah.
Most consistent.
Yeah, most consistent lineup.
Okay.
I don't know. The Red Bull was pretty solid. But.
So we're going to start with the papaya first anyways, but really because there was not much we got wrong here and not much is going to change. We all said the lineup was going to stay the same. We said it was probably going to be the strongest, if not one of the strongest for 25, which I think we would all agree, being that they just fucking won a Constructors.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anything you guys want to get off your chest about McLaren and the year of the snake that we're in?
6 wins last year. I'm going to go with the same amount this year.
Okay.
I don't think they repeat.
You don't think they repeat Constructors? No. Okay.
No.
Isaac?
I don't think so.
I don't know. I feel like it's hard to say that just because of I think Ferrari is going to be somebody that's going to be hard for them to compete with. As much drama as there may be within Ferrari, I think when it comes down to racing, Lewis and Charles are professional enough to be like, the team's got to win. Like, that's my job, is to fucking win races. And if it comes down to Charles holds off Lando and gives room for Lewis to pull ahead because he's already in front, I think he's professional enough to do that. So I think it's going to be an interesting one. So I don't think they're going to be able to repeat.
Yeah.
No.
I'm actually really curious to see with them about midway through the season or even summer break, what is the sentiment? Is it we're only focused on Constructors, Lando doesn't have a chance at the title? Are we only focusing on Lando winning the title because we have that much of a better car with him? Or is it neither, like you guys said, and they're purely focusing on 26? I don't know. It's a true TBD
It could also
situation.
be just like they're going to bring it. And I think this next year is going to be weird too because I think you're going to have a lot of those teams like after the midseason, maybe not bringing as much. Like they're going to be developing a lot of the 2026 car. Yeah. So I feel like you're not going to see as much jumps like they had this year in terms of upgrades.
Bottom teams will not be spending any money this year.
I was going to say everyone except Williams, Kick, us. You know?
Yeah. Well, Williams has to do it because of Carlos.
I think the gaps are going to be even bigger. I'll say this. I think McLaren's still going to be the most consistent team next year.
Yeah.
With point finishes, top 5 finishes between the two guys, because I still think Charles and Lewis are going to have some of those battles where they might. I wouldn't be surprised if they crashed into each other a little bit.
I could see it. Yeah. I think there's one crash.
And we're going to talk about this in a little, but we all would agree that Red Bull is going to be a one-man show this year again.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll get there. We'll get there. All right, I'm going to go into Ferrari's next one. Again, kind of an easy write-off. At the time of us recording the previous pod, this was obviously already locked up. So for any freaking moron listening to this and has no idea what the fuck's going on, Lewis Hamilton is going to Ferrari next year. Big fucking deal. Again, old news.
Yeah.
All right, next one. This is the interesting one. Red Bull, at the time of us recording, did not know about Lawson. We actually were giving some high praise to Checo. We were kind of like, he had just re-signed.
Yeah.
And we were like, maybe he could have a better second half.
Yeah, pull it out of his ass and figure it out.
That turned out to be fucking wrong.
Wrong.
Instead, he shit himself.
Yeah. Who did we predict that was going to end up there?
Oh, we actually had no prediction because we literally were like,
we thought
we'd
staying.
see Checo staying.
I deadass thought it was going to be Danny Rick for the longest
dude,
time.
if they
At least to
fucking pulled
finish this
D-Rick.
year.
Yeah.
But
And then everyone really thinks, and I would probably fall in that category, like Yuki probably deserved that seat more than Liam, but maybe they just don't fucking care about the constructors anymore, man. They won,
Marco
3, 4 in a row? 3 in a row? 3 constructors.
Oh, 3 constructors. Yeah. Yes.
I don't know.
So, yeah, again, Liam Lawson's now going there.
I mean, the brothers raced 11 Grand Prix.
Yeah.
I'll boldly say this right now. Red Bull wins 2 races next year.
2.
2. If that.
Fucking hell, man.
I think there's going to be
gonna
drama
just fall
between
off
these
that
two.
far?
Yeah. They've lost, everybody. They lost their head director, their head engineer, their head, wind tunnel, whatever they call that.
Wanker.
Yeah, the wanker.
The wind tunnel
The
wanker.
WTW, the wind tunnel
They lost all
wanker.
their flogs.
Dude, that'd be a sick name tag, though. The wind tunnel. Actually, not really.
It'd be a tough name.
It's the kind of thing that would end up in the news, like Florida man arrested for the wind tunnel wanker arrested for wanking.
The infamous wind tunnel wanker arrested.
Red Bull time.
Waking the air vents and
Misused.
shit.
All right, so let's go into Merc. Obviously, we did not have the news, but I think it was pretty much a shoo-in that Kimi at the time was going to go to Merc, but we were still begging Toto and the gang to take Carlos. I think we also
I think
begged
Sam said that Kimi was going to be a reserve driver, didn't he?
Yeah, Kimi was like,
Should have been.
he was sure on Kimi being a reserve driver, but we were all like, the kid's too fucking young.
I'll say this right now. If he doesn't perform well this season, he's gone. Halfway through the season, they will kick him. If he crashes like Logan Sargent, Colapinto, pretty much anyone that drives for Williams at this point, he will be gone.
Stroll.
Or he'll just go to Williams.
I mean, he's going to have to do a ton of damage because I think
Think about it.
I think they have a very long-term vision with him.
Bottas is their fucking reserve driver. If he's having a few rough races, I wouldn't be surprised if they benched him at least for a race or two.
You think Bottas comes? The only thing I could see happening is maybe Bottas comes in and takes the spot for a few races, but there's no way he's getting bounced.
No, I don't know
because
if he'll get bounced,
he's
but I
like
think
the
if
next
anything, he'll
Lewis
get moved
Hamilton is what they think he is.
Dude, he got 13th in F2 this year.
I'm not saying they're
Hey,
right
dude,
about
Two
that.
new drivers on the grid got first and second.
But he's the second coming, bro. You're not listening to the whispers of God, all right?
my
He's the second
God.
coming.
And by
man.
God, he means
Toto
Adrian
Wolff.
Newey
Exactly.
and Michael Massey.
All the guys that know nothing.
So the other person that you guys did mention in this that we're going to get into next of going and taking Kimi's spot instead was Pierre.
Oh, God, I'm
Yep.
so glad that didn't happen.
Yeah.
love Pierre.
Well, and it turned out that Alpine continued to have just an abysmal fucking season outside of like 3 races.
Hey, Brazil was fucking gorgeous.
Okay, the one race, freaking
So-
Aqua Pierre.
And we
So
got
at the
Jack
time
Doodoo.
of us recording, it was obviously completely empty at Alpine. They had not re-signed Gasly, and they had not signed Doohan. Again, Sam with his very strong reporting skills was already on it. He already called Jack Doohan from, I think that was like a June pod. So
What can I say?
you were early on it.
Jack Doodoo.
Jack Doodoo.
This is the one I'm actually more worried about than Kimi, personally. I think he's going to fuck it up more, not in the standpoint of like he's going to crash more or whatever. I just think each crash hurts them exponentially more than Mercedes.
Well, but when you have someone like Pierre that doesn't ever crash.
yeah.
That's true.
So he gets 2 drivers worth of money in repairs.
Yeah.
Yet, I will say that I've read that they think they'll give him like 6 races.
Doohan.
And they're going to bounce him.
I'm convinced
talked
that
about-
Alpine like runs the same PR strategy or like tough love strategy as Red Bull. They give him like 2 races, and they're like, you know
Which
what,
is
you
so
fucking
weird
suck.
because
Yeah.
like
It's like, dude, this isn't
the
sim
guys they're
racing,
going
bro.
against
Yeah.
are like crazy good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the best,
I mean,
best
if you
drivers in
throw
the
Pierre
world.
in a car right now in a Red Bull or a McLaren, he's going to perform just as good as top.
That was odd for me for Pierre to not move to another team.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
weird.
But
He was a free agent
That's
this year,
hard
and he
to
signed
compare
again, and he
him to that
re-signed.
stuff. Like,
Yeah.
tell him to compare against Lewis Hamilton, Max
Yeah.
Verstappen, Charles, like all of these other top tier guys that have been in the industry racing at the top level for years. And then you throw this guy in and you give him 2 races, and you're like, nah, do you know what? You kind of fucking suck. See ya.
Yeah.
That's like telling us to go run 5 miles and keep up with Matthew. We're not fucking keeping up with Matthew. It's just not happening.
Low and
For
slow,
yourself,
baby. Low
man.
and slow.
I want to walk that shit.
I'm really surprised that Gasly.
Take it back.
I'm really surprised that Gasly didn't try and get back into the Red Bull scene, even though they kind of bend him over. But
I think maybe that's just what it was. I think maybe his hope was, all right, I'm going to end up in Merc. And
Yeah.
I don't know why he'd resign.
Maybe
he's in
Anton-
his prime right now. I mean,
yeah.
not as prime as you can get in an F1.
yeah,
Yeah. But you
Career.
need those guys that stay loyal to those teams and don't bounce around. Like,
Yeah.
And the one thing he's probably thinking about, I mean, he does have a win, so it's not like it's.
Yeah.
I mean, he accomplished pretty much everything he's going to be able to accomplish.
yeah,
Yeah.
Unless
Yeah.
he wanted to win a constructor, he wouldn't win a drivers. If you
Yeah.
threw him in McLaren, Ferrari,
Yeah, he's not going
Mercedes,
to.
No.
Red Bull, they're not prioritizing him. So he knows
You
he
could-
can't win a drivers.
and I don't think they'd win a constructors with him.
No.
That's the sticking point with F1 that's so different than other sports is you have those teams that like competing for like the mid pack and the mid tier is like totally acceptable. And there's
Yeah.
like teams
Oh,
that
yeah.
are happy doing that.
Getting a random
It's
podium
just-
once
yeah.
a year.
And that's
Yeah,
what
they're
they
just
vie for, and that's
being
what
out
it
there to
is.
compete and keep the name in the sport.
Yeah.
How long do you guys think Pierre stays in F1?
How old is he?
He's older than 25, I would assume, but I couldn't tell you exact age.
I
I have no source of internet on me, so I apologize.
think he's got maybe
What did I say? 96? Is he 30?
Relax.
Oh, he was born on here?
28. He's 28.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, good
So-
shit, Sam.
It's 28.
Sam put the
Couldn't see that.
birthplace or the birthplace or just birth date.
It's
Place-
just from
place-
F1
Place of
website.
birth.
Date of birth, bitches.
No, it says
And
place of birth on here.
You have France,
that
too.
too.
Yeah.
You're good.
I'm
That's
surprised you
sad.
didn't do place of conception as well.
All those are Vegas, but so he's 28.
So he's 28.
28. Oh,
To me, it's not about age, but
give him
maybe that's
5
just
years.
me. 5 years. I kind of
33.
I'm going to give him
Yeah.
I'm going to give him 3.
Yeah, I like that
31.
too.
Yeah.
They're-
just with not saying that he's not consistent, but just this like keep his spot as a competitive driver. Like you only have so long in this sport unless you're Michael Schumacher, Lewis Hamilton. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
you're those one-off guys that are just built completely
Yeah.
different.
Sergio and Fernando, even those guys have lasted
like those
forever.
guys like have been around forever.
Yeah.
But then look at that's what 5 people in the whole entire sport of F1 that are still those names.
Yeah.
Everyone else is 5-6 years in the ring, and then they're okay, cool. I had my time. I was an F1 driver.
Yeah.
Call it.
And the other thing you got to look at is look how many rookies they're bringing in now.
Yeah.
there's a lot.
I mean,
Yeah.
what, 4 or 5 just next year?
And
Yeah.
we don't talk about it enough yet, but we will. They're coming.
Well, and
There's a lot coming.
Yeah.
Them young boys is coming.
Yeah. Our boy Charkley, bro.
Man, them young boys coming. They are down 3 games to 2 in the series.
Roll the
I'm
clip.
glad somebody got that
Yeah,
clip.
dude.
Thank God.
Yeah. Roll
San
the clip.
Antonio women.
All right.
No, what's the young driver?
My guy Arvid?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Arvid.
Yeah.
Give
Watch,
it ta-
watch this space. Watch this space. All right, another one that's not changing. And we knew this. And we hate it.
Oh, I fucking hate it.
And we're not going to spend a ton of time on it. Is Aston Martin.
I got to give a shout out to the Chat GPT prompt that said strong drivers kind of.
Is that actually what it is?
That's what
I
it came
forgot
on.
that you did this on ChatGPT, bro.
I don't get it.
Like I don't
we,
hate the
we've hate on it so many times now. That
I don't
it's-
hate the Alonso part. Like
Oh, I
Yeah.
love Alonso.
he's
Yeah.
great driver.
Continues to
competes
carry.
hard. Yeah, cares about the sport. Good all around guy to have in the down in the pits on
Yeah.
the team. Like great morale guy. But then you have Stroll that's just daddy's boy.
Fucking stinks.
Let me hold your hand.
Yeah.
Limp me around.
I will say, I think second half of the season, Aston Martin has a pretty strong car. I think Adrian Newey will bring a few upgrades in the second half of the season that'll make him compete for a couple podiums, maybe.
You think they're going to go that deep into it right before 26?
Yeah.
I think
with Alonso's
sure.
almost 170 at this point.
Yeah. The brothers, that's an interesting topic of debate. Is Fernando going to make it longer than Gasly?
No.
Ooh.
I think Fernando retired. If their 26 car is bad,
then he's gone.
He retires that year. If their 26 car is good, I think he goes to 27.
What about you see them? They hit 2026 and they say, "Fuck you, Fernando. You're done. You're too old. I want a young driver in here."
Fucking hit him with the Lightning McQueen strategy.
Yeah.
How old is
Say
he?
you're too old. You're washed.
He's like 42 right now, I believe.
Yeah.
And Fernando's a hell of a driver. Legendary
he was born
career.
in 81.
Legendary career.
If he wants to keep racing, somebody would sign him. I'll say that.
Oh, yeah.
It's just hard.
Yes.
Yes. It's just hard from the standpoint of like, all right, you're bringing Adrian Newey in.
Yeah.
You have some brand new light in that freaking place. Lance Stroll obviously needs to get bounced, but that goes without saying. But maybe they do. Maybe they are like, hey, let's get a young driver in
One
here.
of the
and
things,
develop
though, is one of the biggest reasons I think why Newey signed with them is because of Alonso.
He
wanted to race with him, or wanted to help. I don't know how he wanted to engineer for him. I guess.
Yeah. Well, and Alonso said that too. He's like, this is someone
I think you give Alonso a 2-year window, 2 to 3 year window, and then he's done.
Yeah.
No way he races past 45.
Yeah.
46.
I'd give him 2 years because then he has that 26 season, and if it's great, awesome, and then he'll stay for that second season, and then I think he'll call it quits after that.
Yeah, because either scenario, what is he staying for? They're not winning a constructors.
No.
He's
Maybe
not
wants
winning
to
a
get one more
drivers.
win.
I mean, it's just for the love of the game.
Yeah.
I think even if randomly he gets a win this year, he retires.
Yeah.
I think he wants that one last
I don't know.
hoorah win.
I think he wants to work with Newey and see what Newey can do with a brand new car.
True.
And I think Lawrence Stroll will try to keep him on for that because then Lawrence is like, well, we have no one here other than you because my son fucking sucks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, dude, why is he doing that? All it does is hurt them money wise.
yeah, I don't.
I mean, not to hate, but I get it. I mean, I do the same thing for my kids. So.
Oh, not a chance. If he sucked,
Yeah.
you're on the
Kidding me? I'm
bench.
if he's scoring points, I'd be like, good enough.
He's barely scoring points.
Or
so.
if
He's
any,
barely
yeah.
making it
He
down
has
the
three.
first lap.
He has 3
I think
podiums.
he's been. I don't know what he.
3
finished this
podiums
year.
in his whole career.
Granted, most
in a
of the
car
time
that's
he's
been
in-
decent. The
I was
Aston
gonna
Martin
say-
started pretty good. And
Yeah, but you got to remember
most
some of
of
those
the-
podiums
Most
were
of the time,
Williams.
dude.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to talk. Dude was at Williams and
Yeah.
Racing Point. Was
Yeah,
it
Racing Point,
India,
India.
or just Racing Point?
No, it was when it was pink.
yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
Racing
Racing
Point
Point.
in.
So
I think it was India, but yeah.
yes, he's been in good cars because now that I think about it, Sergio Perez won a race in that car. Yeah, I don't know. He sucks.
We already know.
There's no
that.
other way to put that.
Yeah.
He's
He's
just
from
not good
Canada.
enough.
Yeah.
What a wiener.
If he didn't have Stroll as his last
No one
name,
hates
it's not
Canada
bad.
more than us. So probably the most, how do I want to say this? This is probably the most talked about team of the offseason, more so than Ferrari. Williams, last year, at the time of us recording, Sam decided to say that Albon was a lifer with Williams. He saw Albon retiring from Williams,
He's not going anywhere else.
which is kind of sick if
I
you
can
think
see
about
it.
it. Our guy Logan Sargent was still in F1 when we recorded that pod. Fucking pour one out for the
Fucking love
brother.
that guy.
Yeah.
Hope he's doing well.
But yeah, as everyone knows, Sainz now carrying Williams solely on his back.
Yeah.
Anything you want to get off our chest here?
I will say this:
Feel brutal.
Albon has not had a good teammate in 3 years.
Yeah.
So Colapinto, don't get me wrong, he's okay.
We
Not
like
good.
Frank
I love
Beans.
Frank Beef hot dogs. After those last 6 crashes, the last 7 races
Oh,
or
it's
whatever,
insane.
I kind of lost a lot of he's not ready yet. I think Carlos Sainz is about to put Albon in a fucking blender.
The
And by
problem.
blender, I mean he finishes 12th and Albon finishes 18th. But
That's
still,
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's a teammate issue. I think it's a car issue.
Do you think
yeah.
they're going to pick Albon as their 1 and Sainz as their 2?
no shot. Actually, you know what? I will say this.
I'm just saying.
I
Albon's
will
loyal
say
to the
this.
team, man.
That's what I'm saying.
I
That's what
will
I'm
say
saying.
this. There's no 1 and 2 when you're suck.
No, yeah, when you suck, it's just
If
don't
a guy's
crash.
ahead of you,
It's
you're
hold
just gonna
hands.
go.
Yeah,
if a
hold
guy's
hands,
ahead of
just
you, they're
finish
gonna
the
say
fucking
that.
race.
But I think they know Carlos is a rental, 2-year rental at most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been early on that.
Yeah.
To anyone listening or watching this, I know there's probably 4 or 5 of you, but we've been so early on
There's
that.
4 of us on the lawns.
Yeah.
No, but the more important thing
mom
is
doesn't
when
watch.
when we're big time here in 2 years, y'all are gonna be like, damn, those guys were ahead of their time. They're
Yeah.
the Gary V of Formula One.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else here?
I think where do we think Carlos finishes? Quickly, off the top of your head.
In the drivers?
In the drivers. What do you think?
I'm gonna say.
I think he should be really happy if he cracks a top 10.
I was gonna say in that 10 to 12 range.
Yeah.
And I think he'll have probably 10 races with points.
Yeah.
It all depends on how shitty the car is.
Yeah.
Because I know after those crashes, James Vowles was like, yeah, we have no upgrades.
Yeah.
That's where I'm like.
So I'm like, these guys could be finishing in 19th and 20th, 15 seconds behind everybody else.
I would love to see them just bring their 2026 car.
just
At this point, yeah, let's see it.
Crazy.
I don't know. I'm sure there's a rule against it, but hey, if there isn't, I like getting on the edge of uncomfortable.
Can the team just opt out for a year and then like come back in 26 with a good car? Because
Oh,
I
just
kind of wish Williams
save
would do
fucking
that.
money.
Yeah, they probably could. Because think about it, it's kind of like a science fair project. It's just kind of like, sorry, boss, like the fucking volcano didn't get off this year.
It's like driving a Prius with a bunch of like supercars.
Yeah.
Kind of what it's becoming.
Yeah. All right.
Sucks. We'll see.
Our least favorite team on the grid. No, I'm just kidding. The Racing Bulls.
Yep. Gotta love them.
This one was
Yeah.
probably if you asked us 2-3 months ago, we really would have been like, all right, Yuki should take the spot at Red Bull. And we knew that they're going to keep funneling guys up out of their F2 and lower teams. I just don't really have a lot of
I don't
flavor in my mouth about this one, dude.
I
I'm
don't
just kinda
understand
like,
the move to throw Liam Lawson in there after they said Yuki Tsunoda tested better than him in the like postseason testing or whatever.
That's what but
And it's like
the Horn Dog said it was a long-term view. It was a
long-term view for
play.
what? To get
They're
shit on by
acting
Max
like-
Verstappen for
yeah.
the next 5 years?
Well,
no
they're
matter
acting
what?
like Yuki's old.
I think
Yeah,
part of it.
dude's
I
born
think
in
part of it too.
2000.
Though,
Yeah.
I think part of it too is Yuki probably wouldn't listen to team orders as well. Like if they go Lawson, hit the brakes, let
Yeah.
Max pass you.
He'll
I know
do it.
you're in first. I don't care. Liam Lawson will do it. Yuki would probably go fuck yourself or some shit like that.
there's nobody on the grid or that I can think of in F2 off the top of my head that they could bring in and is going to help win them another constructors probably in the next 3 to 5 years. Red Bull.
You think Arvid?
No.
No.
Not it's
Not
too
now.
early.
It's too early. But that's the second coming. That is the next one.
This
that
will
people
be
are
a good
hyping
test
about.
though, because you have the number 1 and number 2 guys that finished in F2 this year with Isaac Hadjar.
Great name, brother.
I don't know
Great
how
name.
to pronounce.
I don't know how to
his name.
pronounce it. My apologies. Don't
We'll
really care,
get
though.
it. We'll get it by March.
Yeah. I mean, if he's still there.
Yeah.
We'll see. They'll just fucking change shit up. But like he got second in F2 this year, so I think if he sucks, it's going to be like I think F2 doesn't matter. To be honest with you,
That's
if
the thing,
Kimmy's
is
going to
it-
perform like an absolute champ, and this guy's going to suck, then I think it just shows.
He won't. His name's
It
Isaac,
comes
dude.
down
Come on.
to his name is Isaac. I don't know.
Relax.
I think it all just comes down to meshing with your car. I think there's some drivers that got into like if you throw Logan Sargent in a different car, I genuinely think he performs different.
Ugh.
Because he was always driving with a shitty car trying to push it to its limits.
Yeah.
He never had the
Always
upgrades.
pushing it to its limit. And by that we mean
I
into
know.
the wall,
I'm not saying he
over
belongs
the
in F1,
barrier.
but I'm saying like guys like that. Colapinto is another example. You saw how many times he started crashing after that first race.
Yeah,
The
it's
car
a
had some major balance problems.
Yeah.
For one, and it sucked. And it's Williams, so it sucks even more.
Well, and-
I think he is gonna stay.
The RB's
you-
the RB's a halfway decent car because
Yeah.
it's coming
Exactly.
from the
From
pipeline.
yeah.
But
yeah. But it's hard because it's probably mostly based around Yuki.
Yeah.
I think for these young
Yeah.
guys, it all comes down to where they're placed.
What do
I
you
think
think-
he's going to perform well. I think Isaac will be there next year as well.
Yuki's gonna have a fat ass chip on his shoulder the
Yeah.
first part of the season, though. I
Yeah.
guarantee that.
I
Having
wouldn't
a
be
small
surprised
shoulder.
if he gives Liam Lawson a couple love taps. With
I wouldn't be
his,
surprised if he started working out this year. Notoriously hates working out.
Yeah. What do
Good old
you
Yuki.
guys think if Yuki performs better than Lawson this year if they do a switch?
They could do it half.
2026?
I could
They
see
could
it.
easily do it halfway through.
could do
Or
it
even
halfway.
26.
If Liam
Like
Lawson's
they just do a
performing-
full 26 flip and they go, do you know what, Liam? You're not really kicking it. Yuki's
Yeah.
kicking your ass. We want him with Max.
That
because
could happen.
The only
Max in a
problem-
new, shorter, faster car
Yeah.
has a really good chance of winning another
Yeah.
drivers.
Yeah.
And if they put Yuki up there and Yuki's still performing,
They have a
that
much
puts
better
them
chance.
in chance for constructors.
Yeah.
The only problem with the Liam Lawson thing is I think Red Bull's not expecting anything more than just point finishes
Yeah.
from him this year. If
Just
he
get
gets
as many
10th,
points as they
8th,
can.
9th in every race, I don't think they care.
Yeah.
No, agreed.
At the end of the day, who fucking knows? Because Red Bull is great at one thing, not standing by their word.
That's true.
That's a
And
good-
that's
So-
to Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he runs the
sucks
team,
too.
so
Yeah.
All right.
Most excited for this one.
Really, for Haas?
No.
Okay. I was like, Sam, what the fuck?
I actually think I will say this with their new technical engineer that they had this year. What was his name?
I can't say it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
We'll put his name here.
Yeah. He's fucking great. I love that guy. It just shows that I think Gunther was maybe not the
Best.
ideal choice.
Yeah.
I think they are probably going to be competing with Aston Martin to finish in that 5 spot this year.
Okay.
Oof.
I genuinely think their driver lineup is that good.
You think Barron?
I think
enough.
Ollie. I would
And I
agree
think
that
their
Ollie's the
car-
best new guy coming in.
I think their car is going to perform much better than people anticipated like it did this year. Mm-hmm. I mean, think about they didn't even spend that much money this year on upgrades and stuff.
Yeah,
their
they
car
still
just
did
came out
decent.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't know if it, but
And
is
you
that
have to keep in
K-Mag
mind-
driving? Is that K-Mag's driving? Is that
True. Hulkenberg's driving.
Hulkenberg's driving?
You got to keep in mind, though. there's gonna be
Hulkenberg
a-
had some really good stretches there.
Hulkenberg
Yeah.
is really freaking good. But you also got to keep in mind, there's going to be a lot of teams that don't spend money in the midfield this
Yeah.
year,
Yeah.
focusing on 26. I think Haas is going to spend some money.
Haas is spending all their money, and then 2026 comes, and they're going to shit the bed again.
It's gonna be a fucking go-kart.
Yeah.
True. But
Jesus.
I think Ollie Behrman will probably perform the best out of the rookies.
Interesting.
Given car, if you threw all the guys in the same car, I think he'd perform the best.
Yeah.
So do you think Behrman has a better year than like Kimi?
Technically, car-wise, yes, but points-wise and finishes-wise, probably not.
no.
Because I still think Kimi's going to be a top 6
But you
driver
think? But you
like,
think
with his car.
you think Behrman long term maybe has a better career?
I do. I think Behrman
Interesting.
ends up at Ferrari eventually. I
can see that.
think it's just
It's
set
writ-
up that
yeah,
way.
it's kind of written,
it's written
in the
that way,
stars
yeah.
that way, anyways. Are we? Myself personally, I thought Ocon's time was kind of done.
Yes,
Yes.
he needs
But-
to go.
Agreed.
It was a surprising.
Brother
signing.
needed to go years ago.
It was a little bit
But
of a
it's a
surprising
perfect place for him to go.
signing. Oh yeah, I give him 2 years
Yeah.
there and then he calls it quits.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Not going to get podiums. Probably just going to be like an annoying guy again.
Yeah.
Kind of a douche.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of back to the thing I was saying, like, you don't have those guys that stick around forever. Like, Ocon's the perfect example of just your guy that shows up for a couple years, does his whatever he wants to call it in Formula One.
Yeah.
And then is like, cool, I was a Formula One driver, and goes around and is just that cocky asshole that shows up at some bar in Monaco and goes, yeah, I raced Formula One.
I'm trying to think of how long he's been in F1 off the top of my head, but
I'd
he
say that's
could.
a pretty good brag.
Oh,
Yeah.
totally.
He
Don't
could
get me
make
wrong,
it
I would do
to-
too.
He was born in '96, so
Yeah, but it's not about age. I'm saying he started at
Yeah.
Racing Point.
He's been there for
been there
at
for,
least
like,
10 years.
8
No,
to 10 years,
I'm
right?
saying by the time he finishes, I think he might
maybe
make
8
it
years, 9 years.
to 9-ish.
So I will say this. I think Alpine did him dirty. Like, benching him for that last race. He's the
Yeah.
only dude that's given Alpine a win.
Yeah.
I don't know how you
Yeah.
don't let a guy finish. I get you want to get your new guy prepped and get him used to it. But at the same time, you got to go. This guy has been loyal to us for like 5 years now. Got to
That's-
show him at least some respect.
Yeah.
He gave you he got you the second place podium this year and your maiden and only win
yeah.
as Alpine. You got to show the dude some
Yeah.
respect.
Yeah.
I mean, Jack Doo-Doo, but
Yeah.
I get
Scooby
it.
Doo.
No, I'm not a huge
Scooby-Doo.
Ocon fan, but that even pissed me off.
It's
I
just
just
fucked
felt like
up.
it wasn't right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he doesn't give a shit, but
No, he wanted out of there as quick as he could.
still fucked
He
up.
wanted to come to Chipotle Hosses.
All right.
Great place.
Kick.
I think their lineup is going to be absolutely a stunner, except Bonotto came out and said their 2026 engine is terrible, and he goes, I don't expect us to be competitive until the year 2030. So
Jesus
if he says that,
Christ.
that makes me think, why the hell did Hulkenberg sign there?
Well,
I don't
because
think Hulkenberg knew about that.
well, also, but it's the same thing of Hulk is not going to be in F1 that much longer as
Yeah.
well.
So I think he's just trying to keep it.
I more
Just
so
want him to
feel
get a
for
podium.
Bortoletto.
I just want Hulk to get a podium.
Bortoletto will move. If Bortoletto does well enough in this
He'll
freaking
move.
shit
He did
box
just
of a
win
green
F2,
car,
so you got to give
then,
him credit on that.
Yeah.
then he'll be fine. They'll bounce him. He'll move somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he is a guy that ends up in kind of like a Red Bull seat at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Like
But it's
maybe he performs really well in this kick, which is going to be really impossible to do. But I wouldn't be. I mean, you got to think about it. The three guys that Red Bull has for that Red Bull seat with Lawson, Sonoda, and Hajar, Isaac Hajar or whatever, they're kind of three unknowns. You don't know what you're going to get day in and out. If he's consistent, I wouldn't be surprised if a jump like
Yeah.
that happens.
I think brother's got the best name in F1.
Gabriel Bortoletto.
It sounds like he's going to be a world class driver just based off his
It
name.
does.
Yeah.
Like that. That's a.
It's up there with like Senna.
Yeah, there's just a name.
Prost.
The name there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought
Brother's
I
destined.
thought Nico Hulkenberg was going to be a fucking stud. He doesn't
Yeah.
even have a podium.
That's so.
I think a lot of
wild.
people thought that, Sam.
True.
It's okay.
We all thought that this would be a good spot for Carlos on the previous pod.
Because
that
they
you-
thought their car was going to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm
But
glad he didn't.
now that it's not, maybe it's for the better.
I totally agree.
Yep.
I'll make this prediction right now. 2 years from now, Carlos signs another 2-year deal with Ferrari. 4 years from now, Ollie Behrman ends up at Ferrari.
Yeah.
I think that's
So
the
you
exact
think
balance.
Lewis
Or
is only
could
there
go
for 2
earlier.
years and then he calls it quits?
I think Lewis goes 2 years.
You could see a crazy switch up and like Shaw go to Mercedes or something nuts, but I doubt it.
The chances
It's so slim. I think.
Yeah.
I
That's
think
probably the least likely thing to happen in F1.
yeah.
I
Charles
think-
is locked in, but you never know. F1's been fucking crazy.
Charles
I
is
never
what,
think
26?
Lewis was going to go to.
Charles is
No.
26, right? 27.
26.
So he'll still be there in 4 years, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's going to be there until he's literally going to pull. He's going to have a Lewis Hamilton career.
He'll be there
Stay at
forever.
Ferrari.
Yeah.
Golden boy.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
He-
saying.
I
It's
hope
like
he
the-
never leaves. He should be there till the day he retires.
I think a lot of
Agreed.
people didn't think Lewis was going to leave, but it made sense that he leaves. I don't think it ever makes sense for
Charles
to leave.
No, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. Their car's always going to be competitive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like the F1 team.
Yeah.
And everyone
he's-
wants to race for Ferrari.
When he's like grew up in Monaco, like
Yeah.
watching the race, like that's
Yeah.
He grew up a
that's-
Ferrari
Yeah, he's a
kid,
Ferrari
bro.
kid.
Yeah,
I-
that's
I-
the team for him.
This is what one I got to ask. Out of like the 4 or 5 rookies we got, how many of them do you think make it through the whole year?
Well, we have 5. We have Ollie, Duhan, Hajar, Bortoletto, and Kimmy.
Make it through the whole year.
Yep.
I'm going Bortoletto, and I got to go with my boy Isaac.
You think they get bounced?
No,
No, they stay.
they
think
stay.
they stay?
Yeah, I think they
Like,
stay.
and by I don't mean like get booted from F1. I mean like maybe they switch Lawson with Yuki or something.
Yeah.
So if they get like guys get switched.
Oh, okay.
He's
but I
get
still
switched
agree
or-
with him on that. I don't think Hajar gets switched. I think he stays there all year.
I think Bortoletto.
I think Bortoletto stays. I think Kimmy stays.
I think Bortoletto, even though it is kick, I think he'll stay there all year. Like, it may not be the best car, but for him to get into F1 and
Yeah, it's
feel
not
comfortable in a seat, racing against
Yeah. It's
Lewis,
gonna be
Charles,
nice.
Max, getting him just in a car on the track with those guys competing at that level.
He has no pressure.
Yeah, he has
he
no
just has
pressure.
to keep up with Hulkenberg.
Yeah, just
It's
show
also-
up and drive.
Yeah, it's also the perfect storm of a year. It makes no sense to get as many switches mid-season as we've been seeing.
I don't think we're going to see a lot of
I
switches.
think Jack Doohan is the only one that will get
Bounced.
booted this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's
And I
me
hope
personally, I
he
think it's
doesn't.
possible, but I don't.
I hope he doesn't.
don't
but
know.
if he has a bad first 5 or 6 races, I think they boot him.
Too soon.
But bring in who?
Another one of their guys, probably another F2 kid.
I just don't know if
Whoever
it's
tops
worth
Who's their
it.
that, you got-
reserve?
That's where I'm saying. I'm like,
I don't know.
But really, who gives a shit, honestly? Because 2026 is a brand new year.
Yeah.
So they may bring, and you have a brand new car design and everything.
but that's my
So,
point of like,
who
why
cares
would you
even
get
if-
someone in early?
I
if
wouldn't
the
be
car's
surprised
completely
if Red
fucking
Bull
different
goes,
angle.
you can have our top driver, or McLaren goes, you can have our top or like
Recruit.
academy driver for the last 18 races. Get him some F1 experience because we know we're going to want him in 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
I mean,
know.
I could see it happening.
Never say never, but
I don't think there's going to be a lot of switching.
I'm on the opposite side there.
You don't think
but
any rookies get bounced?
I just don't see. I don't see the need for it.
I
With,
could
They
see,
would-
with the year.
I could
Like
see him
you would
getting
have to
sat.
be. They would have to be number one in fucking shit up, or like break an arm, like
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it would have to be an injury or them being the top of the list for smashing the car.
Yeah, but I think they'd just sit him. Just be like, hey,
Switch it with a
here's-
reserve driver.
Yeah, put a reserve driver in for 2 races.
Yeah.
and just make him like not scare him, but kind of just make him realize like, hey, dude, you're at the top of the level and you have to fucking perform.
Well,
and you're
and there's-
not.
yeah.
So I'm gonna sit your ass and make you realize like this is the real deal. You're playing with the big boys, and let's see how you react afterwards. Put him back in, and if he keeps fucking up, then I would talk about the possibility of bouncing.
Yeah. And that's a good point, too. And the other school of thought there that I always go to, because Gasly talked about this, Albon talked about this with Red Bull, it's not even like it's a performance thing due to confidence. So you start crashing the car, and then you start worrying, like, okay, how can I, like, let off a little bit through there? And then that starts, like,
Second-guessing
psychologically fucking with
everything.
you,
it's the same
second-guessing
thing
yourself.
that happened to like D-Rick, we think. There's a huge major.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a psychological sport.
Yeah, it's very psychological.
all mental.
Yeah.
So,
Because a lot of these guys are very close, like when you really look at it driving-wise.
yeah.
I mean, everybody, you probably throw all 20 drivers on the grid in the same car, they're all within a second of each other.
Yeah.
Throw them in carts. I still think we need a kart race midsummer, bro.
I agree.
Yeah,
with
just
Live
that.
stream.
give me an
Awesome.
all-star weekend
I'm
for the
telling
F1.
you,
Yeah.
Monaco racing go-karts
Yep.
would
So
make
badass.
that.
The small
fucking
cars in Monaco might actually be a lifesaver. But
That's
I
what I'm
still think the
saying.
race is going to suck.
I think
ass.
Yeah.
the problem with it, I don't think the cars are small enough.
No,
We'll
I'm
talk
saying
about
in
that next year.
26.
I don't think they're small enough.
I get you.
The last thing that I want to do
Fiat.
is I think we should
the
pour
homies.
one out for all the drivers we lost in 2024. We lost Checo. We lost Danny Rick. We lost K-Mag.
Yeah.
We lost our friend, our boy, Frank Beef Hot Dogs.
Rip.
Why do you have Lewis on here?
That's not
Valtteri,
Lewis. That's
but all right.
Valtteri.
Oh,
Are you blind?
Botas.
I can't see that far.
You can't see that far. The laptop's right there.
I know.
I was gonna say.
Oh, it says traditions under too. I'm
Yeah,
dumb.
but I mean, he at
We
least
lost VB.
Yeah,
We lost Joe, and we lost our guy Logan Sargent.
Gotta go to the next one.
I know. This is a great slide,
To the
Sam.
homie, dude.
A whole
damn.
slide for Logan Sargent, man.
Look at that fucking beautiful man.
yeah. Pour one out for the first American to
Dude,
score an F1
if you go on that
point in
brother's
30 years.
Instagram, though, he's doing A-okay.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
He's on a boat 300 days of the year.
Look at that.
Man.
I didn't see anyone else on the grid become the first American to score a Formula 1 point in 30 years. He's the only one.
And I don't know if there's anyone else. I don't.
Attaboy.
I don't know if there's anyone else up and coming.
I've seen
There's
a
a couple.
couple,
There's
but
a handful of guys, but we'll see
Yeah.
if they make it.
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't
But I
I don't
guess
think
I
they'll
don't.
get a shot after this guy.
I feel like there's more generational wealth in like some European countries
Yeah,
than there
totally.
are.
I think 5 to 10 years from now, you're going to see a lot more Americans get into like the karting scene and all that stuff with how big it's getting over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if 15 years from now you got
Handful of Americans.
4 or 5 guys on the grid that are American.
Because if you
Yeah.
have the kids now that are into racing, American racing, it's all the kids that are into the Baja stuff, or their dads are into the drag race
Or
scene.
NASCAR. Drag racing is big, yeah.
Drag racing, NASCAR, like that's just the scene over here because it's just pure power and just straight line power. Over in Europe, it's like the whole soccer thing. It's all finesse.
Yeah.
Like we have American football. That is just brutal grit
Yeah.
and power. And then over there, it's football, soccer, and it's all finesse. So that's their culture. So, but like Sam said, like since F1's growing so much over here, I'd say 10, 15 years, we start seeing some young American kids in F2
Yeah.
working
Imagine-
their way through it.
Imagine get by a dude named like Seth Davis.
Yeah.
Like imagine getting your ass just fucking whooped by a
Or
guy like
a
that.
guy named John Smith.
Yeah, like
Fucking
Bob
Jeff Gordon.
Reagan or some shit.
Yeah,
like
Jeff Gordon passes
like,
you.
Imagine getting just
Jesus.
fucked up by a dude with a terrible name.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Or of immigrant descent, because all Americans are immigrants.
That's true.
My last name on that grid list would be wild.
They'd have to lengthen the thing.
Yeah.
Bro,
I mean,
yeah,
that's it.
Jackson, we'd be so pissed at the scoreboard.
Oh, dude, the
Does it
the
kick out
scoreboard
into the
yeah.
race?
Yeah. Scoreboard already pisses me off enough that it has to get bigger starting here in 2026. 2026?
Yeah.
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 2026.
That's a story for another day. Who's
Yeah.
going to drive for Cadillac?
So that's kind of our run
so
through
happy
of the
about that.
2025 lineup. If you guys have any other thoughts about what the fuck we said, then, feel free to let us know.
Yeah.
Honestly, outside of maybe 2 people, pretty good lineup. Like
I agree.
Yeah.
all around the grid.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be good.
I think you're gonna have a very similar year to last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so.
3
Which
to
is
4
good.
teams competing like crazy.
Which is awesome.
Which made it so entertaining.
Yeah.
agree.
Last thing I want to get off my chest. I'm going to be big time on this all fucking year. They need to get rid of the Vegas race.
Okay.
Oh.
We're closing the pod.
He is officially cut from the podcast. Don't worry about it.
Coming from the bottom, now stepping on the neck. I've been working, I've been grinding. I need all of my respect.